Now, look, you guys are going to want to know a lot, but, I mean, it's one practice, no pads. You play football with pads on. I always call it pajamas when we go out like this. Some people think it's safer that we go out 2 days like this. It's really not, but, you know, whatever. Just tell me the rules and I'll play by them. So I thought the flow was good today. Players tried to do the right thing. About an hour, 55-minute practice. And there's not a whole lot to tell you other than you know, we have practice again on Saturday morning. We'll get 13 in this spring and 22, 23 in fall camp. And, you know, most important thing is we're ready to go and run out the tunnel for the opener. So we're trying to promote competition. I think the defense is going to be a little shorthanded throughout spring because they're missing some key guys that have played really good football collegiately in the past, and that we expect to help us. Offense, really the only significant guy out is Kidwell at right guard. But you're looking at Carpenter, who's a really good player. Carr's played football. Sneed's been a top backup. Jalen Walker's an excellent linebacker. There may be another guy or two on defense. So they're a little thin over there. And, you know, with Blitty leaving, which was unexpected, but he did what he did, and that's all I'm going to say about that, and we'll keep it to our guys. But we'll make progress this spring and keep pushing forward and keep working every day to improve the roster and see where we are at the end of spring in this wild world of college football and what the roster looks like in August. So you got to be light on your feet around here to be a Power 5 or any kind of FBS or any kind of college football coach nowadays, because it's crazy. All right, let's go.
Mike and Zach, speaking about the defense, what did you say about the numbers and the defensive tackle row? How do you manage that? And is it just
We got enough bodies to go 3 teams, which is the goal. You know, you want to be able to work 3 teams when you start your 11-on-11 stuff, and we're keeping the reps a little lower, racks of 4 right now, early on, because football movements are just so different than anything the strength and conditioning staff can do with them. It's a start-stop game, and you know, you want to develop players and you want to keep them healthy. So we kind of build the reps up as we go.
Zach and Seth?
I guess, forgive an obvious question with the quarterbacks, but especially when you're in spring and you're maybe not feeling that pressure to make long-term decisions, how do you structure that in terms of getting guys enough repetitions as it goes?
You know, every year's been a little different. But there were years at JMU where we had 3 guys that my first year there that we thought were fairly equal and that we gave them all day. And there was, you know, and the second year we did the same thing. So Rourke went with the 1s a day, Taven went with the 2s, Cherry went with the 3s.
Seth and Mason?
Your wide receiver room has so much kind of returning production, and just it's almost rare to see how much production is already there in your wide receiver room on a college football team already. Just, you know, I guess how is that room kind of shaping out, and what are you looking for as those guys battle out?
Well, on paper, you're right. It's a lot of production, and we want to promote competition at all positions. Everything's earned, not given. No one has a job. Some guys have a body of work, and I'm talking about all positions right now. But everything's earned on the field. There's no entitlement, nor can there ever be. But that room has a lot of older guys that have made plays in games, and I'm excited about their potential to help us win football games.
Mason and Jack?
Curt, obviously you mentioned that there's not a lot to glean from just your first practice, but kind of projecting forward when you look at this team that has so many new faces, who do you kind of turn to, maybe some on-field leaders for you guys?
I think we're still developing and learning about the guys. Like in flex today, you know, at the end of flex, we always have somebody talk, right? We have a few guys out front. And Kalon Black talked today, who was at JMU. You know, he was a running back because he talked one time last year and he had a lot of juice, and we want that guy to, you know, kind of like grab everybody's attention. And so I think we're learning. We got players from Indiana that we didn't coach last year. We got transfers that we didn't coach last year. And we got some guys at JMU that we did coach last year. And I think that'll evolve.
Jack and Jerry?
Yeah, in the spring when you don't have, you know, wins and losses to measure, like how do you measure progress or success? What are you looking for to
Well, number one, we want to keep them all healthy. We don't want to have any significant injuries, especially to guys that we think can make major contributions to the football team. Number two, we got to install our offense, defense, special team schemes, okay, and teach the way we practice. We have a certain way we practice and a certain way that we play the game and things that we emphasize that we think are important in being successful, right? And practice should emulate a game a little bit. I was fairly pleased with day one, the flow of day one. And we want to develop players and find out who can do what. And then come out of spring, it used to be all about recruiting and development. Now it's recruiting, development, and retention. See who's on the bus, who isn't on the bus, and put the best roster together we can for August.
Jared and Zach, Browning.
A couple of episodes ago, you mentioned less is more when it comes to spring and fall practice and not using the maximum amount. This spring, is it kind of a feel how many practices you guys want to get in, or is it kind of a set number?
Well, this one was more about I've always started the Thursday after spring break because we've always liked when you come off of spring break to be able to stride the guys Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, let them get the stuff out of them so we don't have soft tissue stuff day 1 and 2. All right, now the way the school year fell and then with some other activities going on campus, right, it just worked out that way that we would only get 13 in. So I can't say that'll be the case next year.
Zach and then back to Mike.
You mentioned that you like to run practices like simulated games. What goes into simulating those practice environments to make them like games to get your team ready?
Organization and planning.
Mike.
Yeah, in terms of, you mentioned kind of evaluating, are you a big guy with position changes in terms of especially with taking over, do you anticipate a lot of that, or is that just something that's kind of, you go kind of evaluating players a little bit?
Well, you want to put your best team on the field and, you got strengths and weaknesses, and if you have an abundance somewhere and that guy can be a starter over here, I think we all do that as coaches. I've got a history of, we've had some offensive guys that weren't first teamers go and played DB, and a couple of them had pretty lengthy NFL careers and so on and so forth. So, we're trying to put the best 11 on the field, but we don't have to do that today. But like you saw Toomer out there at strong safety, for instance, right? And he's played some corner, and that's just a situation where we have some corners, right? And we wanted to take a look at him at strong safety.
Joe, row 2, last one.
Coach, you mentioned Caleb and how he used his voice at JMU, he used his voice here today. I guess what's the importance of that in day one, having a guy like that step up?
Well, day one, it's how you do things, and this was new for everybody today. It was new for me to go out on the field and practice there. Like, how do I even get to the field from my office, right? I learned that today, the shortest way. And then, I go out there and the tight ends and receivers and running backs stuff is in the wrong spot, so that was new, right? It was a good day, and so Kalon was sort of showing everybody else kind of like, sort of how we do it. Everybody's different and does it different. Not everybody's going to get up there in front and talk, because those are sort of like the guys you think are going to end up being like leaders, right? So